Hi everyone, it's Wendy. I'm remaking this video because I didn't like how the first one came out. I may still post it, but it's not quite what I wanted. Um, but I am going to talk about how I make my refillable fabric journals. Um, these are ones I'm working on currently. Um, I still have to do the inside, but you can see kind of what a finished. This is the larger one, and it fits the larger composition notebooks. I'm going to work on a smaller one that fits the smaller ones. And I actually stocked up at Walmart on their after school sale, and I got a whole bunch of these for 10 cents a piece of the larger ones. Smaller ones you can find there too. You can also find them at like a dollar store, Dollar General, place like that. So what you need for this is fabric, of course, and some of this I got at Walmart, some of it I got at Hobby Lobby, Joann's. You just need like a fat quarter, what they call a fat quarter, and most of the time that's 18 by 21. Now the thing is, if you have a pattern that is directional, you need to fold it a specific way. I'm doing it on this one because my husband likes this fabric. I did a large one with this one where the skeletons have sparkle on it. I thought I'd make a small one. So when I make them, I use cotton, 100% cotton. I also use canvas that you can buy. You can use faux leather if you want. You can use canvas strapping, like what they use to weave in chairs. You can use that. I like using just the canvas, and I usually use just black. So you need that. Now, for my small one, my covers are 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and I cut 2 of those, and my spine is 1 inch by 7 1/4. For my large one, my covers are 8 by 10 1/4. Make sure that's correct. Because these are, yeah, 8 by 10 1/4. They're about a half. On the large ones, I make them about a ½ inch. On the small ones, I make them about a 1/4 inch smaller. You can make them a ½ inch, in which case you would do 5 1/2 by 7 1/2. Okay, so those are 3 pieces. You need your fabric, and I ironed this. Now, when I look at this, I'm looking at the best way to get the most out of this, and I have this folded, as you can see, and I have it so that the selvage, I kind of match this up along the edge of the selvage, and I ironed it to get out the wrinkles. You don't have to iron it if you don't want to. Okay, now I've got plenty of width here, but I need to make it so that I go from here to 1 inch beyond. And since these are 5 1/4, I need to go to 6 1/4. And using a grid mat works really well. Sometimes I use my rotary paper cutter, but this time I'm going to use this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1/4. Tim Holtz ruler. Actually, a metal ruler because I'm using a rotary cutter. Now, because I like my inch, I need this to be 9 1/4 this way. So be right about there. Okay. And then, because I know that there's a like I said, you can do this in your rotary paper cutter if you want. I wouldn't do it in a guillotine one. So there I have my 2 pieces. Now, for my spine piece, this is 1 inch, and I like anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch in between. So when I'm figuring this stuff out, I know my spine. I'm going to move you closer so you can see what I'm writing here. Okay, I know my spine is 1 inch. I like to have 1/4 inch. Let me check here. I've got some already made up. So this is what I'm making. I don't think I have 2. Oh, okay. This will work. Yeah, that's a 1 inch spine, and I'm just doing this for comparison part. So you can see a 1 inch spine is going to work fine, and I can do 1/8 of an inch. At least I think it's a 1 inch spine. Oh, that's 1 1/4. Okay. But a 1 inch spine should work too. I keep changing these as I do them, so. There's my 1/4 inch. Oh yeah, a 1 inch spine should be fine. Don't remember why I did a 1 1/4. I think because I cut a whole bunch of 1 1/4, so. But a 1 inch spine will work very well, as you can see. When you hold it like this, there's plenty of room in there. So a 1 inch spine. And I'm going to do a 1/8 inch gap between the spine and these. So that's 1/4 of an inch. So we're up to 1 1/4. Now, this is where you get to decide how wide, how much of this black you want on there. Now, if you realize, okay, I'm taking off 1 1/4, and I already have this cut to 3 inches. So I have 1 3/4 left. So that means I have a 7/8 of an inch 7/8 of an inch binding here. I think that's what I did here. Yep. So, and the other thing I do is I make sure I have enough fabric to wrap this. Like this. So I'll make a mark. I usually do extra just in case. place my mark there. I line this up so it's straight. Cut. Okay, so that's my spine piece. Now, to wrap my pieces. Ooh, that looks cool. I want them to mirror. So when I wrap these, this will be my front. And this will be my back. And this one goes either way, so it really doesn't matter, but I think this is a neat way to do them. Let me pull you out so you can see better. Okay, so I'm going to make it so that this is my front, this is my back, and as you notice, these skulls that I have here, they kind of go in this way. They're kind of mirrored on each side, which is really great. Now I am going to take and bring this all the way to the edge like that. There's several ways to do this. I am going to use a combination of glue and tape. The reason being, the tape will make it stick automatically right away, and the glue will take a little longer. And these will be wrapped, so I don't need to cover the whole thing with tape. I am adding the glue. You can use fabric glue. I'm going to use art glue. And I'm working on one cover at a time. All right. So I do this in stages simply because to me that is the easiest way. Make sure I have this going right. Okay. So what I am going to do is line up my piece of chipboard, top and bottom. Okay. If you're worried because you're thinking, oh, it's not going to line up right, do it so that down here is on a line and the left side is on a line. That way you can make sure that you get your inch. And I remove that. I move one piece. Now, oops, make sure it doesn't move. You can use a little repositionable tape if you want. Then I take my fabric and I lay it so that the one edge is at 1 inch, the other edge is at 1 inch, and I should be pretty much centered. And I can just fold that back. Now if you don't get it exactly to the edge, the nice thing is that the fabric will come up easily. It won't rip like paper does. Give it a good burnish. When I'm making these work really well. Okay, so on to the rest. And I'll show you my method for doing this. I place it so that my fabric, the end that's stuck to the chipboard, the fabric is to my right. I've got the naked chipboard to my left. I add some glue in between. Not a lot. I take my ruler, slide it under, and I use that to press my fabric on. And when I get to that score tape, I stop. Move that second piece. Add some more glue. And use my ruler to push it down. Okay. And then give it a good roll, because that's going to activate your score tape and that. And I do it on this side too. And you just set that aside for a minute while you finish your other one. So again, I do the same thing. It doesn't matter what size score tape you use, and I think I'm using a 1/2 inch. You can use 1/4 inch. Because the score tape is just to kind of hold it down until the glue sets, and you won't have the puckering. You could do score tape all the way across if you want, if you prefer. You can use fabric glue. You can use Aleene's tacky glue, PVV glue, whatever you want. Now, I'm going to bring this one in here again so that I can make sure I put this right. So I want it to go that way. Normally I wouldn't matter, but I kind of want this one to go a certain way. So again, I'm going to line up the bottom and the left side. Take my fabric, put it on the inch marks like that. And just kind of roll the fabric. Lining it up with the edge. Now, sometimes I don't do my fabric all the way to the edge. You don't have to, but I find, if nothing else, make sure your fabric overlaps a little, your spine piece, simply because that way you don't have a gap and you don't have to get a little creative. So again, I add glue. Move that. Take my ruler. And this bevel edge that the Tim Holtz ruler has makes it really nice. Go up to the score tape. Add more glue. You could do this all at once. You don't have to stop like I am. It's up to you. And then I squeegee it. And I give it some pressure to activate that score tape. There. It's not going to come off. Now, my next step is to score tape around the edge of the chipboard, not on the fabric, on the chipboard. I have done it where I've done score tape on the fabric. That's perfectly fine. Like I said, I'm going to use a combination of glue and score tape. I'm going to do that to both of them. And it doesn't matter which order you put your score tape on. I am going to give it a good roll with this roller. This is a Cricut roller, by the way, in case you're wondering. I just like the size. You can find other ones that'll work just as well. Okay, got that. Now, how you fold in your corners is up to you. Some people like to do the corner in and then fold the edges in. And that's okay. I kind of like to do it the way I do my albums. So I'm going to use this, and I am using it on the widest one, which is 1/4 of an inch, so that I can get a nice cut here. Oops, wrong way. Make sure you put your rotary cutter the right way. Okay. And I'm just doing it on those two ends. Now when I do these, I usually do them assembly line. I have 6 of these small ones done already. I have 6 of the larger ones done. But like I said, my husband liked this pattern, so I'm going to indulge him and make a small one. So I know for when we do our mini albums, we like 1/8 of an inch. For these albums, I like 1/4 of an inch. And again, it's personal preference. Alright, so I'm going to move the tape on all 3 sides. I'm going to take this end, the long end. You notice how I got it, how I have it facing me. And take that. I'm going to add some glue. And the glue is just secondary. Make sure I pull this tight. Okay. So now we come. That's the nice thing about using the score tape with fabric, is you've got some wiggle room. You notice I pulled it right off because I wanted to pull it tight so that there's no gaps there. There we go. Yeah, make sure you pull so that there's no gaps between your fabric and the edge of the chipboard. Okay. Now, when I fold this up, I do have to tuck this corner in, and that's why some people don't like doing this way, is because you got to tuck that corner in. You do a little finger fold and finger press. You put some glue here on the fabric. Gets a little messy, but you can get just as nice of a corner as you do in paper. You can see, I know this is dark fabric. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the other corner, and I'm going to bring in. so that you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm adding a little glue here and here, and I'm just kind of doing what they call a finger press. Nice little finger press there, just like that. So I just folded that in. Then I can add more glue to the top of that. Glue here. Don't forget we got, and I'm just going to take this and pull it tight and lay it down. It's there. You have a nice corner. It's not exactly pointy, but this is fabric, okay? Fabric has a little bit of a mind of its own. So I'm going to take and show you again on this one. Again, I'm removing all the score tape backing. Applying some glue. You can apply it to the fabric if you want. You can apply it to the chipboard. The thing is, this is going to get covered with paper anyways, or you could do more fabric if you want. Pull it tight. And that's one reason why you want to have that score tape there, because the score tape helps you get it tight so that you don't have any gaps here. I'm going to move you in. Whoops, wrong way. You see my corner here. So I'm going to put some glue there. I'm going to just take that edge, fold it, just like you do with paper and a finger press. And because I've got that little bit of glue there, that'll hold it for me. Add some more. Sorry about that. I'll show you again. But as you can see, all I did was I put glue on here and up here, and then I just kind of folded that edge. And then you just carefully bring this up and pull. And your score tape's going to catch, and you're not going to have any gaps in there. So again, on this edge here, I do a little finger press. I add some glue there. I add some glue up here. I fold it in. Now, if you notice on it, this overlaps just a little bit on there. I don't know if you can see that. It overlaps just a little bit. That's fine. And then all I do is I put some glue here. Now you can do glue here if you want. It's up to you. I do put a little glue on this. And then I carefully, pulling tight, there. Done. Okay. So now that that's done, we can work on our spine. All right. So we have our spine piece. We have our fabric. The thing is, I am putting seam binding over this edge, so if it's not perfectly straight, that's okay. I might put some lace or something over it too. So I know this is 1 inch. So I get my ruler back out, I get a pencil, I line this up. Boy, that is not cut straight, not 1 inch. And that sometimes happens. So I'm going to straighten it out. So even if I go down to 3/4 of an inch, I'm okay. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I can get a straighter edge. Take this down to 2 3/4. Got 1 inch that's straight and 1 that isn't. Okay. All right. It is what it is. Now you can decide where your centers are going to meet. So I know this is 1 3/4. So let's see, 1 1 1/4, 1 3/8. And sometimes pencil does not always work on that. Oh, do you have a white gel pen? Because this will be on the inside. And I also, okay, it's 1 3/8. I'm going to put it up right there. That's going to be on the inside. Nobody will see it. Now I know this is 1 inch. So to line it up, I know this is 7 1/4. Yes, I know I'm doing a lot of measurements here, but there is a method to the madness. Because if you can kind of get it off a little bit, and it'll kind of make everything look a little wonky. So, all right. So, I'm going to place 2 things of 1/4 inch score tape on it. Again, the score tape is to do the immediate tack. The glue is to do the long attack. Or the score tape holds it in place until the glue dries. And I could have just gotten away with 1 thing of score tape, but alright. Place this like this on an edge. And I'm going to apply glue. And then I am just going to line up my center marks. There we go, just like that. Give it a smooth out. All right. Now, to make it so I have my 1/8 inch on either side, I'm going to use 1/8 inch score tape. I have some of this Miracle tape. Somebody gifted me, I'm going to use it. Also got scrappy tape I got gifted. I think they all work pretty much the same. Okay, so I'm just going to place this 1/8 inch Miracle tape on either side. This gives me my gap. Now, to adhere these, okay. Did I do these backwards? Hold on here. I did. Okay, it ain't gonna matter. I just want to see something. Okay. That didn't quite go as planned. I don't know. The images are going every which way, so it doesn't matter. Now, I have material on here, going to material, but I got chipboard. So, I'm going to take 1/4 inch score tape, place it on my material piece on my chipboard, along this edge. Give it a good burnish, because score tape can be hard to get off of fabric sometimes. So trying to decide which one I want on the front. Go this way. Okay. So remove the backing, add glue, line it up, and again my score tape is going to grab before my glue does. Line it up, and lay it down. And the nice thing about doing this fabric cover is it has a lot more elasticity. I am going to try to make some with this hockey stick tape. There's actually 2 rolls here, and I've got a wider roll. All right, so now what we need to do is remove the coverings from these center ones. Oops, okay. And like I said, sometimes the score tape doesn't like to stay, but that's okay. There's a way around it. So if your score tape does what mine just did, you got 2 options. You can either lay another piece in there, which isn't too hard to do. Which I'm going to attempt to do to show you. Just lay it down there in the channel. Whoops. Now, make sure you give that a good rub so it stays. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put a line of score tape down the middle of the spine. And I'm going to put a little bit right there on either edge. And this follows the same thoughts of when you're making an album. You put the score tape here on either side of your gusset and on your spine on you, so that your paper won't lift. It's the same principle. I do it for when I do my fabric ones as well. I'm just going to remove the score tape. All right, now I do have extra, so I'm going to lay this end down first. And I'm going to do some glue here near the edges along here. Because like I said, the score tape's going to hold first, and I am pulling this tight. Now, I know I have some extra fabric. You can do this measurement before. It's 4 inches. So if I take off an inch, and 1/8, I'm going to take off an inch. I'm just going to take off a little bit. Like that. Add glue here. Make sure I got glue on there. Glue there. And again, pulling tight. Lay it down. There we go. Now, just like with your paper projects, create that gusset. A little bit easier with fabric because fabric wants to cooperate and it bends very easily. So there you go. Actually, that turned out cool. There it is. So for my eyelets, I think on this one I'm going to use right. I go up about 1/4 of an inch and I'm going to go in 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to make 2 dots, up 1/4, in 1/4 from the spine. What pen really works good. Then take your crocodile, and I do the 3/16, and I set this to just over 1/4. If you look, you got all these little notches here. So 1/4 is there. I set it to the one right before it. It's up to you. And then just, but that way I know my depth is always right. Of course, you gotta get the darn. Really wish I'd make these self-cleaning. Okay. I do that on both sides. And all I'm really doing is lining up that center dot in the center there. I know my depth is right. So it's just more from a left to right perspective that I'm lining it up. So I don't know if you can see that in there. I got my dot lined up. I had it lined up. There we go. Okay. Got that part done. Now, and I am going to use white eyelets, and I just use regular size eyelets on these. Okay, and I turn it over to the front, insert an eyelet, make sure it's right, give it a good squeeze. Sometimes I think I do this backwards. Alright, that one didn't go so well. Got a little wonky. Okay. because it was wonky. It didn't set right. That one didn't either. All right. I'll worry about it later. I swear sometimes somebody comes in and moves this. Okay. Oh, that's a great. But you get the idea. Go ahead and just set your eyelets in there. There we go. My settings were off somehow. And if your eyelet set's wonky, usually you can pull it out. The white one, put the gray one back in there. Now I could have gone with gold ones, I could have gone with yellow ones, I could have gone with gray ones, silver ones. That's a copper. I decided on white. And if you're unsure, use black. Okay. So let's see if I can get these in there. There we go. If you're unsure of the settings for your crocodile, for your eyelets, do a test one. Okay, so there's that. The only thing left is to put the elastic in. And I think I got this from, I don't know if it was Hobby Lobby or Joann's. But anyways, the way I do it is I go down, I hold it like this, and you can either start at the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter. So I go from inside to outside, then from outside to inside, take it down, go from inside to outside, and then from outside to inside. Cut it. You notice I hadn't pulled it yet, so when I did that, because I do stretch it when I tie it. Do an overhand knot, and I clip the ends. Add a touch of glue. You could add fingernail polish, clear fingernail polish if you want it to the ends. I also add a little bit on the knot itself. Not that it makes a difference. And if you don't want the knot in the book, you can always do it so it's on the outside. It's up to you. But that's it, except for covering the inside with, I usually just do a neutral paper. This one I'll probably do black, and then I'll find some complementary paper and make slash pockets in it and put the notebooks in, because these, and I decorate the notebooks with some paper. I just look for paper that looks interesting, but all it does is slide in like that, and there'll be two of these in there. And once you get it in there, they fit nice. See, there's plenty of room in there for two. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add, I add an inspirational saying to the front with iron-on vinyl. And I have a whole bunch of them cut out. So I'll be adding those too. I do that as I do all this assembly line. So I get all my books ready. Actually, I got almost all of them to this point, minus the eyelets and that. As you can see, these are the last of the ones I'm doing. So I'm just going to glue these. And this is something neat you can do, is add some ribbon or seam binding. And all I'm doing is placing a little bit of glue. And that way, if you miscut your spine piece, you can kind of hide it. I can actually add, I think I'll get some braid. That'll look neat. See if I can find some braid and some different colors to add to these. That one turned out pretty good. Just a real thin braid would look nice too. And this is seam binding I got from Country Craft Creations. So I'll get these all glued and that, and I can show you which ones I have so far. For the large ones, these are the ones I have done up so far. For the large ones, I have these dream catchers. That's just like that. I have this Paris. Now, if you notice, I wrapped the entire Paris one with fabric, and that's something else you can do. You don't have to do a black seam like I do. I just wanted to try it. It turned out pretty good. The only thing I would suggest is put white cardstock underneath. You can't really tell, but it turned out really neat. I think I might do like a pink bow or something on there. That turned out neat. And of course I got the glitter skulls. This paisley print in red. I've got yellow flowers, yellow and white flowers. Since I've got it out, just do this quick. So that way it can dry while I go get my sayings. Because I like to have these flat when I put my sayings on. And then I've got the blue paisley. So like I said, I'm going to see if I can find some braids to put on there. For the black ones, of course, we have this one we did. I have owls. As you can see, I don't need any seam binding on this one because the fabric is straight. This one I might do something on. This one is puppies. Then I have script. I have kitties. I have another flower one. And then I have another Paris one. So those are my books. So they're all ready to have their inspirational sayings put on them. See, once you get the, see this one, it's a little smaller. That works, okay. That one's a little smaller. This one will work. These ones will work just as well. They just have more room. There's more room or more space this way when you look at it. Once I get them centered in, there's a little more space up and down and sideways. And I did a bigger channel, so that's the only difference. So you can adjust it one way or the other. It's all up to you how you want to make it. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment and let me know. I'll talk to you later. Bye.